the only secret you need to learn from the mistakes that you've done in last years. I promise that after this video, not only you will learn from your own mistake, but you will make sure that you're never gonna do them again, and also you're gonna be 1-2 steps ahead of yourself, meaning you will make better moves in the next year. The way that I'm going to do it, I'm going to give you the stories, I'm going to give you the lessons, then I'm going to add some secrets of mine. I've been doing this for almost a decade now. I was always making goals back to back to back to back. I learned all the mistakes that people can do, whether that being from yearly resolutions, how to do them, or really just like how to take the year as a whole. Now, I think the most important thing when it comes to really just a year in general is to know that there is a year that exists. Cool, this sounds crazy, but it will all make sense in a second. Most people find it whether they go into the extreme of not caring at all, or they go to the other extreme of really caring and you have to make all of those celebrations. Look, doesn't matter where are you. What matters is you have to comprehend that the year is really just a tool for you to divide your time. Alright, cool. Now, when I understood this subject, I was like, all right, this makes so much sense. So for me, I don't have to wait for the new year to start or to stop or to tell me what to do. Like, I'm going to do that anyway. It just came to sort of like helps me and boosts my energy, boosts my productivity, whatever you want to call it. Now, cool. Now we're going to tell me, it's like, all right, so now what's the most important thing when it comes to actually dealing with the new year? 2 things. The first one, I think the most important, you have to analyze, if possible, all of the statistics that you had in the past year. There is a reason why all of the institutions, the big companies, the big corporations that you love, all of them analyze at the end of every year everything that they've done in that year, whether that be in the inputs, the outputs, how much they made, how much they lost, how much they got, how much the costs, what are the changes, what happened, what didn't happen, what they wanted, what they didn't, everything, every little detail. And that's why you see all of the accountants at the end of the year, they're like, oh dude, I'm just so occupied, we have an absurd amount of work. The reason behind it is because all of the companies go all in at the end of the year. So one, of course, they report taxes and stuff like that, but more than that is so they understand the business better. So if the big corporations does it, the big companies does it, you might as well do it too. Because look, you see that quote when they say, I'm not a businessman, I am a business man. Do that. All right, cool. Now we understand. It's like, all right, cool. I want to analyze. I want to actually make my year better. Now, how can you analyze? This is a very important question. I didn't know 1 year ago. I didn't know that. All right, cool. Now I'm gonna explain it to you. Analyzing is basically you're gonna get you all of the stuff that you've done that year. So if you have some sort of spreadsheet, obviously if you have a business, you have accountant, you're gonna get that. If you had a VA or virtual assistant, if you have another assistant, hire an employee, whatever. It doesn't matter. You get all of the data, all right? The data, which means statistics, is like, I've done this day, I've done this, I've done this, and I've done this X thing 10 times, 100 times, Y times, whatever. You got the point. So like all of the statistics about the entire year, all right? If you don't have that, so let's say you don't have an accountant, you don't have a VA, you don't have anything, you're gonna have to do it yourself. All right. So if you're gonna do it yourself, the problem is you probably will not be as accurate as an accountant that was working the entire year. Okay. So the way that you're gonna do it is basically you're gonna reflect back and you're gonna type the most important things that are important to you. If you have a business, that's your profit, that's your revenue, that's your cost, that's your baseline, whatever it is. So that's all like you wanna write down. You want to write how many customers, how many sales, how many leads, how much close rates, how much. So basically you have to know all of that. Basically, if you're not a business, you don't have a business, you're not a business. So basically what you're going to do is just do the same thing for whatever you have. If you are a college student, you're going to do the same things. Like, all right, so this year I studied this way, which is more important. It's more about this. It's less more about subject, more about you. I took notes for 3 months. I revised for 2 months. I prepared for exam for 2 weeks. Goes on. So you want to prepare. So you want to literally get everything you can get your hand on. And basically, there's nothing as like the worst. Nothing. You're gonna put all the data. Obviously, I would say that you don't go over 18 metrics. Stuff like that, I think 18 is always the sweet spot from the stuff that I did and I did with other people. It's like always the 18 is pretty good. So you want to stay around there. You get, however, if you find that some important things, sure, add them. If you don't get to 18, it's fine. It's totally fine. Now, what you're going to do, I'm going to give you a secret. You're going to get it, put it into ChatGPT or any AI that you use and tell him, look, analyze the data for me and also make decisions for me. If you want to know why, if you're interested in like understanding why, you're going to tell him and tell me why. So you're going to make the decision. Also, he will give you a scientific explanation on how your data actually has some patterns. And those patterns says a lot about you. Some patterns are good, some patterns are bad. That's why the decisions are also made. So the next year, you're going to learn from your mistake, not just by feeling like it, but most importantly, by a way that can be 1, tracked, 2, measured, 3, can literally be replicable. Like you can replicate it 1,000 times if you have to. And also it's pretty much automated because look, AI is going to do the analysis. You just have to, gather all the data. And look, sometimes you don't even have to gather the data. Have virtual assistant, you have an accountant. All right, get that or figure something out. Probably you can use AI if that works. All right, cool. Now we understand that. We understand like how we actually can make it happen. We understand the essence. Now, I think the most important thing when it comes to learning from mistakes is really not what people think. Is like I've spent 2 years of my life trying to learn from mistakes the wrong way. I'm going to tell you how I do it, and then I'm going to tell you how you should do it, or how I do it now. The way that I used to do it is basically just thinking all the time. I'm like, all right, so what did I do wrong that time? I'm pretty sure it was my circumstances and my mental health and my family situation and my friend and my social life and my spiritual life. Cool. So delete all that bullshit. When you answer, what did you do wrong? It's not that. And people will be like, it's the plan of God. Of course it's the plan of God. Now, what's the mistake you did? If it's a plan of God, you might as well just learn from that, right? Also, this is a breakthrough that I had with my brother, my business mentor. I was with him and he said, look, it's like, what do you have as a plan? I said, well, look, I'm just relying upon God and really like that's all what I'm doing. I'm doing what I have to do and that's it. He said, look, we all rely upon God. Of course you have to rely upon God, but you have to do what you have to do. Like you have to work. You have to get stuff done. You have to know what you're looking for and stuff like that. Which was a really breakthrough for me, So you really want to have the same thought. It's like, all right, that happened. Now you got to know why. So the reason why is usually like, what's the most important thing that you think actually affected that? 1. 2 is like, if it's a little bit more complicated, there's few months, it's like it happened a few months ago and you still didn't deal with it. Write down everything you might think as a problem. Everything. 20, 30, write them down. So the way that you're going to write the problem always start with, I don't know how to do Y, Z, X, whatever. It's like, I'm going to give you an example. I had a problem, all right. I wasn't consistent. I actually so 3 years ago, I had I just launched my brand. My brand went up. 8 months later, I couldn't upload a single video. Obviously, it was due to a lot of reasons that I now know. A year ago, I didn't know. Which is why I'm literally giving you this. I'm literally giving you my data, my statistics. So now I said, okay, cool. The problem is I don't know how to stay consistent without 1, spending a huge amount of money, and 2, without having a perfect life. That was my problem. What do you think is the solution? Well, you're going to stay consistent And the way that you're gonna do it, you're gonna make videos or whatever, right? In my case, it was videos that cost you no money. Okay, cool. Now, with Perfect Life, you're gonna make videos all the time. Because there's no such thing as perfect life. Once you state your problem that way, I don't know how to, it's automatically make the solution an actionable step. Okay? So use that. You have a problem, you have a mistake, say, I don't know how to, state what it is. Then go back the line and say the solution and type what do you have to do in order for you to solve it. That's how you learn from your mistakes, right? Really, like the highest speed learners in the world are the people that can learn from mistake done once, right? They don't have to do it 1,000 times to be like, oh, now I got it. No, just do it once and like, done, dude. I was like, of course I'm not gonna do that. And they're like, okay, what? That's interesting. It's like, why? Well, it's just because they did it once and the outcome was bad. And you're like, okay, well, but there is a probability, there is a chance that it was just you and it was not more likely. Well, they're already in all in. They're like, no, dude, I learned. But the thing is like, all right, cool. Now, if you're not going to use every single mistake that you did, you're not going to go even with your fastest speed. It's like not talking about learning from other people's mistake, because I did this mistake too. I started learning from other people's mistake. I forgot to learn from mine. I was like, I'm gonna watch YouTube videos talking about how they learned from all the mistakes that they've done. All right, cool, it's awesome. But guess what? I have to learn from mine. When do I know that, cool, now I am learning from my mistakes? It's literally the way that I do it. I don't know how to come back and state what do I have to do in order for me to solve that problem. And when I do that, I say, cool, now I learned from my mistake. Once I do that solution, and it actually solves the problem. And also, like, if it's psychological, right? It's like I am able to speak about it, talk about it in public all the time. I have no problem, because also like not talking about it, I figured that it's also a sign that I didn't solve it. If there's a problem, I didn't solve it, I can't speak about it. I realized that like few years I really didn't speak about a lot of stuff. It was unsolved mistakes. And look, you have to realize that, look, everything in life has ups and downs, right? Okay, cool. Now you made a mistake last year. All right, cool. You made great stuff. Focus on the great stuff. But more than that, when you want to learn from the mistakes, you just basically do what I told you and you move on. Now, if I want to make one thing that is more important, like if you have to take one video, like I really like asking myself right now, it's like if I'm going to give you one thing that will literally help you to actually like not only learn from your mistake, but never do them again, is really a very good fucking to-do list. Being like talking about to-do list is not a to-do list that you write daily. It's not a to-do list that every day before you sleep you write, or when you wake up, or in the afternoon. It doesn't matter. A to-do list, in my opinion, like the perfect good to-do list that really helps, is a to-do list that is stable every single day. Obviously, you can use apps. I use reminders on my iPhone. I'm pretty sure like Notion can do a very great job. I'm considering I really downloaded the app, but you know, I don't have no experience in that. But the thing is it gives you the chance, like just reminders on iPhone, it gives you the chance to choose that to-do list task appears every single day. It's like I check it tomorrow, it's back. I check it yesterday, today it's back. And also you can choose like every 2 days, every week, every month, whatever. For me, I do them every day. I make about 16. I used to have 18. I used to have 26. Now I have about 16. It depends like which ones are giving me the highest ROI, return on investment, and also some of them, if it's always like for a very long period positive, then probably should not track that. All right, cool. It's like what's the meaning of having a to-do list? Basically, the way that you're gonna make that to-do list is based on the statistics that I told you. You're gonna make that statistics. I really did the same thing. I analyzed 36 months of my life. All right, this is not only it's not only 1 year. It's 3 years, and I got them all the information, all the decisions. I realized that every metric, there is an optimal situation. As an example, I'm going to give you just an example about my personal life. When I am socializing a lot, I'm not the best version of myself. When I socialize nothing, I'm not the best version of myself. There is a sweet spot there. So that's where I want to be. All right? That's I'm going to make it my goal. All right? And the same thing goes. It's like when I am reading, I'm closest to the best version of myself. When I'm not reading, I'm not closest to the best version of myself. I get that, I put it into my to-do list every single day. I have to check that. And even if it 1 day, 2 days, doesn't matter. Like 1 day, like you didn't check, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't matter. And the thing is, like the best thing about it is that it also reminds you, like with reminders, it also reminds you like what's the last time you checked it. So it says there that, well, the last time you checked it was like 1 January 2020, whatever. It's like, you got the point. So like it always also gives you the date, so you have this trackability. However, I'm going to also say that other apps might do it better. So you can use reminders. I think it's awesome, but also I wouldn't say that I'm gonna use it forever, because it has like if there's something that I can track on graphs or on a measurable metric, it's like what habits I'm doing consistently more than others, etc. So I have more understanding of all of my to-do list. Of course, I'm gonna go that. Okay, cool. Now, talking about like to-do lists, the good thing about actually learning from your own mistakes and actually making the year greater, you want to be fast. Like really, like most mistakes can be avoided by being as fast as hell. You want to be fast. Like something happens, don't wait, don't lose time, don't waste time, because nobody's waiting for you. Like I had something that happened to me about 2 years ago. I really like go back and I'm like, yeah, it's like fast speed is everything. It's like now something happens and I'm already on the phones speaking to the people. I'm going all in. I'm fucking fighting if I have to. Like just don't give a fuck and don't fuck with me. Like there is things that I don't give a fuck. Like just don't fuck with me. I'm going all in. I'm going with my speed. I'm going with 100 miles an hour. Don't get near me. So this, for me, in my opinion, it solves a lot of problems. It solves also like a lot of mistakes that you can do. It's about speed. It's about bravery as well. It's like, fuck your fears. What are you afraid of? Criticism, poverty, death, fear of losing a loved one? Fuck that. All right. And also, like for me, I really knew that about 1 year ago. But really, when I started reading the book Think and Grow Rich, and I stopped at the chapter fears. It says about how indecision, doubt, and fears are really like the biggest fucking limiting of human success. And he was speaking about it, and I found like I had one of the symptoms, and I was like, all right, cool. I'm never fucking doing that again. You understand? It's like those type of situations that you're like, all right, cool. I understand. It's like it can also like if you're really like fearful, you just sit with yourself. This is something that I do. It's like ask yourself, you have a decision, you don't know what to do. What's the brave choice? This instantly removes fear, all right? Instantly removes fear. So those mental mechanisms that you give yourself usually are what helps. So really like tracking down like everything that you've done last year. It's like, all right, so it's like analyzing, you know? All right, cool. Now, I really think that if you're a man and if you really like want to make your year great, you should read too. Like you should read self-help books, finance, psychology books. I really think that I really analyzed myself for 36 months, as I told you. The best version of myself, or the closest to the best version of myself, reads all the time. And I figured out that when I was way like the furthest away from being the best version of myself, I didn't read shit. You know, so here I'm not saying that everybody is the same, but probably you should use my statistics. There's an absurd amount of knowledge about it. It's like Elon Musk was reading a book a day. All of probably like the biggest content creator that you watch were reading books. Also, all of the entrepreneurs, all of the stuff. There's a reason why Amazon was an ebook store at the beginning, you know. And it makes all this sense. Like there's a lot of stuff, a lot of knowledge. Like Think and Grow Rich, a book. He spent 22 years, Napoleon Hill. He spent 22 years. He studied 25,000 people. All of them are the richest people in the planet. He was hired by the richest man in the world, they say. You know, it's like that book, you bet that it will be fucking good. You bet that the knowledge would be so awesome. And sometimes like what you need or what you want is not just something that you can get. It's like just someone to basically put the light on something. It's like just like it's like my older brother, my business mentor. It's like so many occasions. We meet like about 2 years. Every 2 years, we meet about an hour. And he asks me about where I am. And he tells me what I should do. You know, he puts the light on stuff. And you have to follow. So I think reading books is actually very important too. It's like if you didn't read books last year, probably you should. That's one mistake. And I'm not here blaming. It's like, who am I to blame? I didn't read last year. I didn't read books until September, you know. So it makes not September, August. So this makes all the sense. Now I'm gonna add one thing. I think the most important things when it comes to all of the year is really being in the mindset and put your head down and work. Work. That's all you do, and make tight deadlines and unrealistic goals. So it gives you the motivation, it gives you the excitement, it gives you the adrenaline rush to actually take on all the tasks that are in the way. And look, as I promised, now you have not only the ability to actually learn from your mistakes, but actually to become a very great version of yourself next year and become like savage and not do all of that and become better too. And the thing is, like, you don't need anything external. It's just with this knowledge. I don't gatekeep. I literally gave you my statistics. So might as well subscribe.